From the $20 million payday he's set to receive to the predictions that he's up for an easy win, here's the real reason Mike Tyson agreed to fight Jake Paul. I think we were all extremely shocked when the news broke about this fight, and everyone's been wondering why Mike agreed to it. Some might say that he's doing it for the $20 million payday, and that's actually a pretty solid reason. After all, Mike's not the first legacy boxer to put his body and reputation on the line for some extra cash, and it's not even the first time a Paul brother was involved. Floyd Mayweather came out of retirement to fight Logan Paul, Jake's older brother, even though his opponent was younger, weighed about 40 more pounds, and had a good 5-inch height advantage. Why'd he do it? For the money, of course. He's looking to create some generational wealth for his kids, and every little bit helps. When I heard about Mike's massive paycheck, it all started to make sense. Surely he's doing this to pad out his net worth, right? Like, why else would he put himself in harm's way? But at the same time, the guy sure is risking a lot for that money. He's gonna turn 58 just 3 weeks before the fight, and if you think that's way too old to be in the ring, you'd be absolutely right. Iron Mike's about 30 years older than Jake, which makes a real difference in combat sports. As tough as he is, your fitness only goes down after you hit 50, and it's just not possible to compare him to someone in their physical prime like Jake Paul. There's also the difference in reach to consider, with Tyson's reach measuring in at 71 inches, which is a full 5 inches shorter than Jake's. That puts him at an even greater disadvantage. If you've been following the news, you probably saw that training video Mike posted. He definitely looks like he hasn't missed a beat, showing absolutely ridiculous speed for a man his age. The guy holding the pads looks like he's fearing for his life with every blow Mike lands, and the accuracy is truly a sight to behold. He's also showing a surprising amount of power, but again, we need to take his age into consideration. No matter how strong he was in his prime, we're talking about a man pushing 60, and that has to take a toll. My point is that no amount of money justifies the sheer physical risk involved. Mike's taken a lot of blows to the head, and a fight like this will probably involve even more hits that could cause permanent brain damage. $20 million is a lot of moolah, but can it buy you a new brain? I think not. But something tells me that's not what Mike's doing this for anyway. I mean, sure, the guy's had his fair share of financial troubles and his net worth was just $10 million last time I checked. But there might be something deeper going on here. Like, Mike might be doing this simply for the thrill of the sport. Michael Bisping definitely agrees with this, because he doesn't believe that Mike's doing it for the money either. If there's one thing you can say about Tyson, it's that he loves to fight. He has a fire in him that just never went out. So maybe he agreed to the bout just so that he could feel the rush of a cheering crowd once again. It's not like he's been away from the ring for that long, because he had an exhibition match with Roy Jones Jr. just a few years ago. That fight ended in a split draw, and it must have given Mike a taste of glory again. Once you feel like that, it's hard to go back to just living your boring, ordinary life. Now, this will obviously be an exhibition match, but there have been some announcements that suggest how seriously Mike is taking it. If he's just looking to get paid, he'd have asked for headgear and every other form protection he could get, but that's not the approach he's taking. In fact, when Mike's training video came out, Jake's business partner specifically said that there wouldn't be any headgear involved. This tells me that Mike's looking to have a serious boxing match and maybe teach young Jake a thing or two about respect. This is still just a rumor, because apart from Jake's business partner posting about it on Instagram, there hasn't really been any official news about the headgear policy. But if it's true, it makes the payday argument seem pretty uncertain. We all saw that video of him walking around with a cane, right? His health is clearly in decline, and in the 4 years that have passed since the Roy Jones Jr. bout, things have taken a turn for the worse in that department. That's why people are shocked that Jake suggested it in the first place. The entire world of combat sports was shaken to its core, with MMA fighters like Renato Moicano, Lerone Murphy, and Terrence McKinney all calling Jake out for challenging a much older man. Michael Bisping straight up called the fight a joke, which is basically how most fighters see it. As for Jake, he hasn't exactly been the most humble guy in the announcement's aftermath. Like, he posted a picture posing with a fake tiger on Twitter, which he compared with a photo of Iron Mike standing next to a real tiger. It would have been a different story if he was treating Mike with the respect he deserved, but that's not the approach he's taking. Firstly, he's treating himself like the underdog, despite the fact that Mike is twice his age. Secondly, there's absolutely no deference to Iron Mike's legacy as a GOAT of the boxing world. Instead, Jake seems almost too eager to tear it all down, and based on his Twitter activity, he thinks he's somehow on Mike's level. This brings me to one more theory about why Mike might be doing this. Some people are saying that he's out to humble Paul. Jake and his brother are part of a much larger problem, especially with Jake fighting retired MMA fighters as if they were fair bouts. When he challenged Mike, it must have felt like an enormous slight. And so far in his career, Jake's disrespected more than his fair share of legends. Whether it's snatching Floyd Mayweather's cap or beating an old and retired Anderson Silva, he's become a bit of a blight on this sport. And the best person to get revenge for all of that is Iron Mike. The training video he shared was the first sign that he's looking to shut Jake up. And from where I'm sitting, the newbie boxer looks pretty dang scared. But hey, maybe we're all wrong and Mike doesn't really care about humbling anyone. There's a chance that he just wants to take part in this bout because of how historic it is. This fight will be broadcast live on Netflix. It's the first time they have dipped their toes into live sports, which makes this an important moment in the evolution of boxing. The fact that it's a boxing match instead of football or any other sport just goes to show how mainstream combat sports are getting, and Mike might want to be involved in something of that magnitude. In the end, all we can do is wait to see what happens. And while we wait, we can check out a couple predictions from people in the know. At least a few people think that the fight's in the bag for Mike. Joe Rogan definitely seems to think so, because he's said as much on his podcast. Granted, this was a couple years ago, but Mike was 55 back then, which is not too far off from 58, and Joe thought that Mike's victory was assured at the time. If you need a prediction from an actual fighter, Amir Khan agrees with Joe. The former light welterweight champion voiced his thoughts in mid-March, saying that he hopes Mike doesn't hurt Jake too badly. That kind of sounds like he's betting on a first-round knockout, which would be a massive relief for the fans worried about Mike getting injured. But what do you think? Will Mike bring the heat, or will Paul surprise us all? Either way, from the predictions that Mike's up for an easy win to the $20 million payday he'll get for the bout, this was the real reason Mike Tyson agreed to fight Jake Paul.